Kaiju cream steak.
And here we are in Little Oxford, Ohio. Small town favorite Oxford Doughnuts. It's 6:21 in the morning. You have to get here early, so they say, because once they sell out, that's it. Let's go have a look. So once inside, it's a tiny little place, quaint, cute, like they tend to be. You have donut paintings, probably from local art students. Donut man. Time to make the donuts. And then over here, of course, we come to the mother lode here at Oxford Doughnuts. So in just a moment, we're going to get somebody to tell us a little bit about what kind of donuts they have. Before we do though, here's something you don't see every day. It's donut bike. Work off the calories. So we come in and we see a happy smiling face here. And what time did you come in this morning?
I got here about 5, but the girls in the back got here at 4.
Excellent. Woohoo, man. All right, so what kind of donuts do we have here today?
Okay, so we have our traditional glaze and rounds or twists, a very large crowd favorite. Then we have our cream filled and vanilla, chocolate, or maple icing. We have custard or jelly filled, and we use a raspberry jelly. And then we have chocolate or chocolate with sprinkles. And we have vanilla or vanilla with sprinkles. And then we have maple or maple with nuts. And then we have a s'mores donut, an Oreo donut, or a fruity pebble donut. And then my favorite is the cinnamon sugar. And then over here we have some chocolate with nuts, chocolate with Oreos, and chocolate with cocoa pebbles. And then back here we have some cinnamon rolls and apple fritters.
Excellent. Something for everyone's tastes. All right. So today I'm going to go with, it's all about the cream sticks for me. So I'm going to go with a maple and a chocolate. And for my buddy who's in from Pittsburgh today, let's get him, I don't know. Let's get him a sprinkle donut because he's a sprinkle kind of guy. Chocolate.
Okay.
Whether or not he cares for chocolate, I love chocolate. So
that's what matters.
yeah, and I'm buying. So here we go. Welcome. So here we are in our perpetual quest for the biggest, tastiest cream sticks, Kaiju cream sticks. We find ourselves here in Uptown, Oxford, Ohio, where we find also Miami University. And here in the Uptown, they have a couple of still very good old school restaurants. The Steinkeller, German food, good Reuben. What is that? The one back there in the green, La Bodega, is another place to get a really good sandwich. So Steinkeller's, La Bodega, thumbs up for those guys. The other things are just Chipotle and other franchises, like every other university. Anyway, but I digress. Anyway, we're here because they have another little tradition, I guess you call it, Oxford Doughnuts, which is down the road that way about 2 miles. And in this little white sack, we have a specimen. Actually, we had 2, but we had to do a little taste test beforehand. That way, in case there's any surprises or anything, we kind of know what we're dealing with. Anyway, they had, to be fair to them, sort of, the gal, when I bought these, she put one on top of the other, mashed the icing, so the presentation may not be quite as nice, but be that as it may. Into the bag we go, out, little bag, we'll put it right here. So, we have yet another petite offering here. Not one of the bigger donuts I've ever seen, bigger cream sticks. So Kaiju factor. This is a little guy, we'll deal with more of that later. But as we traditionally do, we start with the icing. And looking at it, aesthetically, it's a very light brown, which is telling me it's just a visual cue that, hey, there's probably not a lot of cocoa in this thing, but let's give it a try. It's also sort of a thin glaze, not on there very heavily. but let's give it a taste. All is fair in love and cream sticks, right? Well, so it's kind of like that glaze, that shellac as I call it. It doesn't want to peel off, so I'm going to use my teeth to get a fair amount of the icing. And, excuse me, as expected, powdered sugar. It's overwhelmingly powdered sugar. If you had a blindfold on me, I couldn't have told you this was chocolate, more than likely. There's a small little wisp of chocolate to that, but it's a layer of powdered sugar, basically. The bread, again, nice aesthetic in terms of the golden color. We like the golden cream stick, right? We tear it open a little bit here to get take a look at the bread. Now we tear it open. Oh, we see some cream in the center. We see just a tiny little bit of cream on the end, but it's the bread we're interested in at the moment. So there are breads and there are breads. Some have a little bit of a sweetness to them. Some have a little bit of an eggy flavor or yeasty flavor, if I can use such a term. This one has no flavor, which it's not unique. I've run into this many times before. So I mean, while the bread looks nice, it doesn't taste like anything. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, because it is indeed just the vehicle for the other things, the icing, the cream. So taken all together, the gestalt, it may work still. So let's find out. Anyway, to the cream. So we found out right off the bat, not much here, but we can tell from here, it wasn't injected on this end, it was injected on this end. So they put it in, they squirt and pull it out. So they didn't get clear to the end, or they didn't, well, I mean, you can see it's quite a ways from the end before you start to see it. So, get to the cream here. If I tear this thing open, so it's more or less sort of a blob in the middle. So we don't even have any clear to the end when they pulled it out. So the icing is, the cream filling is pretty minimal. I'm not too excited about that. Let's take a taste. It's kind of heavy. It's very smooth. It's not like that crunchy sort of frosting icing that I prefer, but nevertheless. It is very smooth, like a heavy whipped cream maybe, or heavy Cool Whip, but it tastes buttery, and I get a distinct, I think it's vanilla. So it's sweet, not too sweet, not overwhelming, but it's on the subtle side. So let's take a big old bite here, put this back together for a minute, and get some of the icing, some of the cream, some of the bread, all in one bite. Here we go. Oh yeah. Proper etiquette dictates that you don't talk with a mouthful, but I never was much for proper etiquette, I guess. So with that bite, I pretty much obliterated what was left of the cream. So the overall impression, you have the powdered sugary icing, you catch that cream with the buttery, vanilla-y sort of thing, and the bread is the vehicle for the whole thing. Overall, I'd probably give this thing Oxford Doughnuts cream stick effort 3.5. Yeah, disappointing. I mean, to be fair, I've had some really pretty good cream sticks in the last couple of weeks, so maybe that's on the tail of that. But in all fairness, I try to be as objective as I can. The kaiju factor I mentioned at the beginning, which is just talking about its size. I use an adjective petite, but in the language of the kaiju, I think this is more a little tiny kaiju. And I think what comes to mind, one of my favorite little tiny kaiju type of creatures is Colossus Rex. I guess that's all I can say. So I will not enjoy the rest of this, but the squirrels will, and the birds. And I'll walk around the rest of Oxford and see if there's anything else that there is to be discovered. So until next time, eat some cream sticks. Meanwhile, a few miles down the road, Cincinnati showcases contributions of the black community along their riverwalk.